Good morning. Today we're going to be talking about adjectives. So we've done a lot of different parts of speech so far. We've done nouns, we've done articles, and we've started to work with verbs. But today we're going to talk about adjectives describing nouns. So let's take a look at what that means for us in terms of comparing adjectives with other parts of speech, such as nouns and articles. So adjectives are adjetivos. These are used to describe, so they have to agree in number and gender with the noun that they're describing. So for example, if a noun is singular, then your adjective also will be singular. However, if your noun is plural, ends in an S, you make sure your adjective also ends with an S. So in order to agree, the endings may change depending on, it should be on, O, A, OS, or AS. Some adjectives that end in an N or an E do not need to change for their gender. So for example, if I describe something as green, verde with an E ending, then I won't change that to an O or an A. Only words that end with an O or an A originally can change depending on their gender. However, you can make something green plural. So if I had green hats, plural, I could say sombreros verdes. You can add an S to a word that ends with an E. If you have something that ends with a consonant, like a brown hat, sombrero marrón, you can make it plural with an ES. Remember, when we talked about nouns that end with consonants, you must add an ES to make it plural. The same thing goes for adjectives. So those would be brown hats, sombreros marrones with an ES. So here are some very basic examples. If I want to say that a boy is bad, I would say el chico malo, the bad boy. Remember, article matches noun and adjective matches noun. The noun is in the middle. It is the most important part. So everything around it is changing to make sure that it's also masculine. Second example, the bad girl, la chica mala. Now also notice that your adjective comes after your noun, okay? In English we're used to saying the adjective first, bad boy. In Spanish what it sounds like is the boy bad, the girl bad. Making those phrases plural, remember, you have a plural noun, boys, chicos. That means you have to have a plural article, los, and you have to make sure that your adjective is also plural, malos. The bad boys, los chicos malos. The bad girls, everything turns feminine and plural, las chicas malas. Words that are ending in a consonant can't have an O or an A ending. Alright, we described something as brown, remember, marrón with an N ending. We can't change that N to an O or an A. Only words that end with an O or an A originally can change back and forth to match the gender. Words that end in an E cannot change to an O or an A. Like we mentioned, to make words that end in consonants plural, add ES. And finally, to make words that end in any vowel plural, just add an S. Some of your adjective vocabulary that you're going to be working with, the words tall and short, alto and bajo, and remember you can make those feminine if it's a girl, alta, baja, and you can make them plural if you need to, altos, altas, bajos, bajas. Young and old, joven, viejo. You can make them plural as well, jóvenes, viejos. And then remember, because viejo ends with an O, you can also make it feminine, vieja. And then social, or sociable, sociable. That one, because it ends with an E, cannot change its ending to match male or female, but you can add an S if it's a group of social people, sociables. Other adjectives, shy, reservado, and this is a cognate word for the word reserved, good and bad, bueno and malo, funny, depending where you're from, gracioso is a word that you use in Spain, cómico is more Latin American, and then studious, estudioso. You've got nice, simpático, sad, triste, content, contento, grande, big. Small, pequeño, fast, rápido, slow, lento, mean, antipático. And here are a few exercises. This is an exercise to try out your hand at using adjectives. So if I wanted to say the good boy, you'd want to say el chico, and then we find the word for good, bueno. Because the word chico is already masculine, you do not have to change the O in bueno. The sad girls, las chicas, the word for sad is triste. Well, it ends with an E, so we can't change it to an A to make it feminine, but we can add an S to make it plural, like our noun. Las chicas tristes. The tall man, el hombre alto, because man is masculine. Notice the ending of man doesn't end with an O, it ends with an E. The way that you can tell that this word is masculine is by looking at your article. The word el is masculine. So, our phrase will remain as it is, el hombre alto. Alto will not change. And then finally, the short woman, la mujer, and then the word for short is bajo, but our word for woman is feminine. Look at your article. La is feminine. So we'll change the ending to match that feminine quality. La mujer baja.